Alright, here we go. So I am just going to be playing around in this video. One of the things that I was thinking about doing is going and creating kind of like a Google Chrome extension and seeing what I could get done with that. I don't know really how far we'll go. But this is more of just like a playful exploration and just learning different ideas and concepts. And yeah, so we're just gonna see what happens. I'll put this like that. Instead, I can make this a little bit bigger, and then maybe go like that. Okay, awesome. So here we go. Now, one of the things. So I just started up a new Gemini thing. I said I'm thinking about creating a Chrome extension. I want to have a little character that moves around the screen and gives me or then said, give me high-level steps of how I would develop and deploy this project. And the other thing is, with this specifically, I'm thinking about trying to have AI involved in it. So specifically using like agentic coding. So we're going to see kind of how things go, vibe code, and yeah, so that's kind of the direction of this video. So all right, so creating a screen buddy, awesome, is a great project for learning how extensions interact with web pages to make a character move across a screen. You essentially inject a piece of your own code and images into every website that the user visits. Okay. Here's the high-level steps to develop and deploy your project using the modern Manifest VM standard. Okay, so that's going to be something I've never heard of this. What is that? So follow-up question number one is I have never heard of this. What is it? Okay. It's going to be number one. All right. Now, every Chrome extension starts with a folder containing a few essential files. Create a directory for your project and add these files. Okay, so manifest.json, the brain of your extension that tells Chrome what permissions it needs and which scripts to run. Okay, so manifest.json. Is this similar to kind of like, I'm trying to connect it to some of the other stuff that I have looked at in the past. Is this kind of like the whatever, what package.json that kind of tells you what you need to install? Okay, anyways, content.js, the JavaScript that will create and move your character. Okay, so we're going to have JavaScript, which is running to actually perform the actions, or the computational items. And then CSS, or styles.css to handle the character's position. Okay. Character.png, or a folder of sprites. Okay, so I'm going to say is like number two is I am curious about how characters and sprites actually work. If I need my character to move not only positionally, but positionally on the screen, but also I want them to move their body. And then I'll say like waving or other actions. What techniques does this involve? Okay. And then number 3, how would you suggest going about getting these sprites? Okay. Alright, so, there we go. Configure the manifest. So in manifest v3, you must explicitly declare that your script should run on all pages and that your images are accessible to those pages. Okay, so manifest here, we're gonna have, manifest 3 screen buddy, so that's going to be the name of the program probably. I don't know much more coffee. I might need to go and get a little bit more, but that's fine. We'll deal with that later. Alright, so matches. So we're going to be running this on all URLs. And we're going to be running this content.json, and we're going to be using this CSS. Okay, so web accessible resources. What's the difference here? Resources, character PNG. Okay. This is content scripts. Okay, so I'm going to say here for follow-up question number 4, can you go through both the content scripts and the web accessible resources to tell me what they are doing and what they are defining? Okay. So inject the character. Since a content script runs in the context of your web page, so this content script, which is the JS, right? Yeah, okay, so since this JavaScript is running in the context of the web page, you can use the standard DOM, which is document object model, I think, to manipulate and add characters. Okay, so this is going to be kind of the interesting part, right? So for question number 5, I'm going to say I want to check my understanding. I want to check my understanding. The user's browser will be the machine which runs the code that I write in my content.json, right? And that means that, okay, it will be ran inside of the browser. Okay, so it's running inside of their browser. Therefore, it has access to all information about the user's website which they are visiting. So this is going to be what? The HTML website and the JavaScript which the site is running. Wait, hold on. Is JavaScript, like when you visit a normal page, okay, that's going to be follow-up question number 6. So when I normally go to visit a page online, where is the JavaScript actually being ran? Okay. Can you give me some examples? Can you give me some examples? Okay. So, HTML of the website and the JavaScript which the site is running, and also all of the cookies and tokens which the user is having in their browser. Okay, so now this also kind of starts asking the question of like privacy and security, because normally when I'm just randomly developing, you know, little projects for myself, you don't need to worry about that, or you don't even need to think about this. But now I'm saying, okay, well, hold on a second. What access do I actually have? And do I need that access? Is that something that Google will even allow me to have? Because normally I have root access, right? When I'm developing whatever on my Linux device or embedded systems modules, you have root access. Now it's like, wait, hold on a second. We don't quite know if we have all of this access. So maybe I'll say, like, what access do I have to the user's information, and what is, I guess, like, standard practice in the industry for these applications. All right. So, since the content script runs in the context of the web page, yes. So is it of the specific web page or of the entire, like, so for example, here's a web page and here's a web page, right? So is my JavaScript running, or is my content.js running in this web page, or is it this entire browser, which is Google Chrome? We haven't even gotten into any vibe coding yet, but I'm just trying to understand kind of the playing field a little bit, and then we'll be able to start playing around with things. Okay, so here we have this. So this indicates or implies that we are, this implies that we are running the content.js in each tab of the would it be browser or not the entire application, which is Google Chrome. Is that correct? Okay. Now, let's keep going. So, I can manipulate the DOM to add my character. Okay. So now we have document and then create element and image. Okay. Set the source. You must use chrome.runtime.getURL. So the browser knows to look inside my extension folder, not the website's server. Append to the body. Okay, so these are kind of the 3 steps, but I need to kind of get my mind around. And once again, we have not even entered the vibe coding section. What I'm trying to do right now is you have the vibe coding part, which is the actual building. But I do kind of like to know at least what's going on and have an exploration phase, because I mean I just enjoy learning. So I'm gonna keep on doing this. So create the element, use this. So I'm accessing the DOM right here, and then I am performing an action, right? And I am creating an image, okay? And then okay, chrome.runtime.url, and then I pass in a parameter of the image. So the browser knows how to look inside the extension folder, not on the website's server. Append to the body, and then we can do dot. Okay. So let's copy this and do follow-up question number 9, which is going to be this, and I'm going to say I am new to web development. Can you explain how the JS is actually manipulating the DOM with these lines of code? Okay. And then can you give me a small example? Okay. So obviously normally my realm that I do development with is more of, as I mentioned, like embedded systems. So the idea of web development, a lot of that stuff is like I have not touched it a lot at all. So this is another reason why I'm super like curious and excited about getting into these, you know, different types of projects, because it allows me to see and open my mind up to a whole new world that I didn't know about, and gives me a lot more context by which I can understand kind of the field of software engineering and engineering in general. So, all right, great. So we're going to do that, and then the logic for movement and animation. This is where the fun happens. You have 2 main ways to move your character. So CSS transition animations, best for simple smooth loops, bobbing up and down. Okay. Then JavaScript, we can do this request animation frame, best for heavy movement, or logic heavy movement, following a mouse or walking towards a... Interesting. Okay, that would be kind of cool to do both, you know. Use window inner width and window inner height to ensure your character stays within the bounds. Okay, so we have this window. So there's a lot that we're going to have to do with that specific idea of like DOM manipulation and understanding the DOM. So actually, before we even get into here, I'm going to say like 8, or I'll just change this one to 10. Go 10, and then I was going to do 8.9 or 8.5, but I'll just do this. Can you give a full explanation about how the DOM works? So I know that it is, or let me say what I think it is. So the document object model, right? And it's like a tree that defines the HTML on a web page, I think. As of right now, I think it is a tree which defines the elements on the web page. Can you go into detail and show examples? Okay. All right. Cool. So yeah, now we have this like window item. I don't know really what a window is right now. I mean, obviously I know it's going to be this, but I don't know like where do we access it? How do we access it? Any of that. It's not part of this document, so 11 is going to be, I see that we have document body and also this, okay? Body starts with document, but now window seems to be something completely different. Is window also part of the DOM? Okay. So you don't need to publish to the store to test it. Oh, okay. I thought that actually I would. So that's kind of interesting. We can kind of like test it locally. So open Chrome and go to Chrome extensions / okay. And then we enable developer mode and then load, click unload, or sorry, click load unpacked and select your folder. Okay. Refresh and we should see the character. All right. So there are the steps that we'll have to perform. So once you're ready, so we also, I also want to go in and understand like what is this manifest and how are all of these things working. But okay, so now we're going to look at, okay, let's say that everything works and we're all happy. Now we want to actually go and push it to the store. So once we are ready for others to use it, we can zip the files so we compress them. Awesome. Ensure that manifest.json is at the root. Okay. Developer dashboard. Go to Chrome Web Store Developer Console. Okay, so we just go to this location. We pay $5 for a registration fee. Okay, that's fine. Actually, I'm curious, is it every time we want to update something or every time we want to publish something, or like, so I'm going to say number 12. For this fee, do we need to pay it every time we update our extension, or is it a monthly thing? It says one time, so I'm not assuming that it's a monthly like occurrence, but I mean, I'm just trying to figure this out. Or is it every time we want to publish a new extension, like when do we have to pay it? So yeah, all right. Upload your zip file, add a description and screenshots, and submit it for review, and then we just wait for like about 2 days, somewhere around 2 days. So important considerations is stricter about heavy extensions. Ensure your movement logic doesn't cause layout thrashing. Repeatedly recalculating the page layout, which can drain. Okay, so we're not gonna have to worry about this because we're gonna be vibe coding it. But I do want to just like check to say like, okay, well, what is this, and what would this look like, and what is the proper way of doing it, right? So can you show me an example of what this would look like in code, both the good and the bad? All right. Privacy. If your character reads the page to interact with elements like sitting on a button, you must disclose this in your privacy policy during submission. Okay, interesting. So that's kind of how we will decide like what policies we have, is through this like policy. Okay. So I don't know exactly how intrusive we want it right now. I mean, quite honestly, this is kind of just a fun little project. So if we need more and more and more access, I don't necessarily see that as a problem, because I'm probably going to just be like trying to understand like, okay, well, what can I do? What is possible? And then later we might be able to kind of scale things back or do whatever we want. Maybe we have multiple different like levels that if they can, I don't know if we can do this, but like the user is able to decide how many permissions they want, and then based off of that it changes the functionality. That's actually another really good question. So number 14 is going to be here. Is there a way that the user would be able to select different actions? Different, what do I want to call it? That they are comfortable with allowing, and then based on those permissions given to me, I can to change how my program runs, or is it more of an all or nothing thing, which the user can either decide to completely allow or not use at all? Because if it's that they can kind of dynamically decide, that would be a lot cooler, right? Because then we would be able to change what we do based off of what permissions, and then it's also easier on the user that they're like, yeah, I don't want this permission, but I don't care about the other one, right? And then obviously for me, when I'm running it here on mine, I can be like, yeah, I want to give all permissions, or then I can, you know, play around with things. Although we're able to do it locally too, so that's like cool. All right, so let's do that, and see what's up. Alright, so manifest as the ID card and instruction manual for your extension. It tells Chrome, here's my name. Here are the files I use. Okay, so tells Chrome, here's the name, here's the files that I use, and here's what I'm allowed to touch. Okay. So who is I in this situation? I should mean my extension, right? Okay. It is the current industry standard replacing V2. Google introduced it to make extensions faster by using service workers that only wake up when needed. Okay. Service workers that only wake up when needed. More secure by banning remotely hosted code. All your code must be inside the zip file so Google can review it. Ah, I see. Okay, yeah. More private by giving users more granular control. Oh, I like that. Here we go. Over which sites an extension can see. Oh, no, never mind. I thought it was about that permissions thing, which we were about to go into. Alright, to make a character wave or walk, you don't just move the image, you swap the image frames rapidly. Okay, sprite sheet. So instead of 10 separate files, you put 10 frames of an animation into one long image. The technique, you create a window, so div or image, that only shows one frame at a time. Using CSS, you slide the background image behind that window in steps. Okay. So you use CSS. So I use a CSS property called steps. If I have 5 frames of waving animation, you tell CSS to jump 5 times. Okay. I think you know what I'm about to do, which is, can you show me a code example? Alright. Can you show me a code example? Alright. Question number 2. Did we... Oh, okay, actually, this is what I was going to do. So search for here. Many are free or pay what you want. Okay, so we can get some like open source assets. Okay, cool. That's what I was looking for. itch.io. And then we can do 2D game assets or sprites, okay? And then we just download them. Open game art, a classic repository for free assets. Okay, sprite database here. Great for seeing how professional. I don't care about professional right now. Nope. Libris Sprite. Okay, I like free. Interesting. Okay. I'm also curious, like, are there AI tools that will allow me to create sprites? Are there AI tools that will allow me to create sprites? I am looking for free. I'm not paying, right? Okay. But otherwise, we can do this like Libri Sprite. If we want to like draw our own, probably not going to be doing that. What we're probably going to be doing is one of those two, which is just going online and seeing if we can find some free stuff. All right, so manifest definitions. So this is within the manifest, and we asked what the manifest was. It was a it is the item which tells, I believe, Google Chrome what permissions are acceptable for our application or for our extension, right? So now within this manifest, we have content scripts. These are infiltrators. What? They are scripts that get injected. Oh, I see. So it is infiltrators. I was like, they are scripts that get injected directly into the web page you visit. Wonder how that works. Okay, so content scripts. Let's actually go back up and see the example. So contents. Okay, so I'm guessing what's going to happen is for all URLs, we're going to inject this JavaScript script and this CSS file. All right, I think that's what's going to happen. So, tells Chrome where to inject only on google.com or all URLs. Okay, so JavaScript and CSS, the actual files injected into the web page code. So, when we talk about injecting code, what does that mean? Whoops. The files injected in. What does it actually mean to inject files into a page's code? First, what is a page's code? And then, how does an injection work? Then, what is the final result? And how does the system change its operations? Okay. So web accessible resources. These are the public assets. Okay. By default, a website like Facebook cannot see files inside your extension. I'm thinking about that for a second. Okay, so Facebook, I like log on to Facebook, right? Yeah. And now it says that normally Facebook cannot see files inside of your extension folder for security reasons. Okay. So it keeps talking about extension folder. So you have mentioned multiple times of this idea of an extension folder. Can you go into detail about what that is? I come from a Linux background, so when you talk about a folder, I am thinking of an actual folder in a file system, right? But now I am trying to understand how this is operating in the context of a web browser. Okay, so I think I actually am going to go get a little bit more coffee for two reasons. Number one, not only the coffee, but also whenever I have something to drink, like when I'm doing my videos, my throat gets a little bit like dry because I keep talking. So I always need something to drink. So I'm going to pause this video and I will be right back. All right, so I am back and we are all stocked up with coffee, and some water. So we are plenty full with things to drink. So let's keep going. Understanding the execution environment. So you are mostly correct. So where it runs, what was I saying? 5 and 8. Let me go back and look at what I was even asking for 5 and 8. 5. I want to check my understanding. The user's browser. Oh right, I was wondering like where is this content.js actually running? And then 8 was about if it's on like the entire application or if it's in the tab. Okay. Got it. The code runs on the user's machine inside the browser, okay? Tab versus application. So I'm correct that this JavaScript code is or runs in each tab independently. Okay. If you have 5 tabs open, there are 5 instances of your character logic running. Oh, okay. Is that why it's so bad to have so many tabs open? So this is more of just a random question. This has nothing to do with my actual project, but it does have something to do with my quality of life, because I want to know, like, oh, okay, hold on. When I have so many tabs open, is that why I have such a huge hit to my system, and is there anything that I can do about that? So number 5 is here, and say, is this why it is so bad to have so many tabs open? What can be done about this from the user's perspective? Okay. If the user wants to keep I'll just say like I always have so many tabs open because I don't want to lose track of those things which I was investigating. I don't know how to phrase that, but anyways, yeah, so this is more of just like a quality of life kind of thing. Alright, so it's running independently. If I have 5 tabs open, I have 5 instances of this content.js. Like, so that means that it's constantly running. That's not good. Cause it's like if I'm on a different tab, it shouldn't need to be refreshing anything. And then, I'll just say number 6, for my project specifically, it doesn't even make sense to have the character moving around when the user is not actively on that tab. It would be a complete waste of the user's CPU resources. Like, is there a way to turn it off, or like only have it when the user is actively looking at a tab? So, let's see, access. This is the candor part. You cannot automatically see anything. This is the candor. What is candor part? What? Number 7. This is the candor part? What does candor mean? You cannot automatically see everything. So HTML and DOM. So yes, you have full access to read and change the page. Okay, so as the extension, I am allowed to see what the user is seeing on their page and change what they're seeing. So JavaScript variables. For security, your content.js runs in isolated world. You cannot see variables defined by the website's own scripts. Is this because it's running in their system, or is it because I just don't have access to it, right? So number 8 is going to be, is this because the JS variables are in the other website's own servers, like Facebook? Like if the user is accessing Facebook, Meta will be running JS code in their servers, so I don't have access to them. Or is it that my extension is like a VM, or maybe a Docker container? What do you mean by isolated world? Okay. So cookies and tokens. No, a content script cannot read cookies or security tokens directly. Okay, you would need a higher level security or service worker with special permissions. What is a service worker? Okay. Number 9. What is a service worker? How would I use them? Okay. I thought I said, okay, I was about to say, I thought I told it to show me code, but I'm not seeing any code. Alright, so there was at least a little bit of code, but I thought that I told it to show me code in more locations. Anyways, whatever. I will say for this one, show me some example code situations. Okay. So where is JavaScript actually run? So client side and server side. Okay, so on the client side in the browser, this is what you're doing. The code lives on the user's CPU. Okay. Examples: form validation, animations, Google Maps, interactive dragging. Okay. So this is in the user's RAM, and it's code that is invoked by the browser, right? So, okay. Number 10, I'll say, so the JS code is living in the user's RAM, and how in the user's RAM, how and what actually invokes the code. Can you walk me through some examples of JS code being invoked? Okay. Awesome. So now we have server-side code. So this is the Node.js, which is outside of the browser. So this is like that engine that runs outside of the browser. Then we have Python and PHP. I don't know anything about PHP. I've never looked at it, never touched it, no idea. The code runs on a computer in a data center. The user never sees the code. They only see the results, so the HTML which is sent back. Examples is checking the password and the database. Okay, great. So what is the DOM? Document Object Model. So I got the acronym correct. All right. So is the browser's internal map of a website. So the browser, okay, so the browser has an internal map, and that is called a DOM. And it maps the website. So a tree. Hey, I was right. It is a tree. Okay. Now I guess the question is it a tree that I can traverse like a LeetCode tree? Right, that has children and okay, so that there's another question. 11 is, you said the DOM is a tree. Is it the same kind of tree that I can go and traverse like I do in LeetCode? All right. So we have HTML is the root. So we have the root of the tree, okay? Head is here, okay? Body, header, main, paragraph. So this follows kind of, yeah, that I remember looking at HTML kind of like this is the main structure of how they do it. They have the HTML, they have the head, they have the body, they have all of this, right? Okay, so that's what they mean when they're talking about DOM, is the tree that represents the HTML on the page, I think. Manipulating the DOM, the how. Okay, so window versus document. So window is the browser tab. Okay, browser tab, okay. It handles the size of the screen, the scroll position, and alerts, okay. Document is the actual page inside the tab. The DOM lives inside a document because it's document object model. Okay. So we have some JavaScript code, and that's a perfect time to take a sip. So we have some JavaScript code, and we're going to say document. So this is how we access it, right? Document.createElement. Okay. and image. So we're doing something with image. Create the node. Okay, so now it returns back a, well, I don't know what type, but anyways, it just returns something back. I don't know what type it turns back. Give it properties. Okay, so now apparently this has methods on it, or maybe like member variables like source, style. Okay, so what type is my character? Does it already have a member variable called source and style? Or are we dynamically instantiating the variable like we can do in Python? Okay. So now I want to say what? Create element. Who is this? Right? Who are you? Create element method. Is this a constructor? Is it a constructor which is defined somewhere in another library? Like, what's going on? Where is it? And how is it loaded? Okay. So then we get this object. We don't know what it is, but let's just say that it does have source, it does have a style, and style has position, right? And style left. Okay. So those are the fields within this object that we have right here. Then we can say we do Chrome. Okay, so who is Chrome? Obviously, we know that Chrome is the name of the browser that Google assigned, that their browser is called Chrome, right? But we don't know yet, like, because this should be like a library, right? So it's the same thing. Like, who is this? (1314). We are interacting with a character called Chrome. Is this a library? Is it a library, or what? Or is it a library? Yeah, what is going on? All right, so purposefully kind of leaving that a little bit more vague so that meaning Gemini has the ability to expand upon this and give me more information. So then attach it, meaning what? Attach this object here to the tree. So we can do document and then body. So I go document, okay, and then I see body right there, but it's like, okay, and then append child. So is it going to be a header? Is it going to be main? Is it going to be like... When we do this, we have our DOM, and it will be the HTML. Now we are going to the body, I guess, node of the DOM, and adding a child to it. So now the body node will have header main, header main, and my character as children. Is that kind of the situation that we're at when we run this line of code? All right, so the $5 fee, it is a one-time fee to open a developer account. Oh, okay. You do not need to pay monthly. You do not need to pay for up to... Hey! You can publish up to 20 different extensions. Oh, okay. Huh. Nice. Okay, cool. Cool. So we're able to, that actually like frees us up significantly, because that's one of the things that I was kind of worried about. Obviously, I don't have a ton of money. I'm super curious about things and I want to learn and develop and grow, but I also don't want to be just like, you know, hemorrhaging money. But a one-time $5 payment, like for a developer account, that sounds awesome. Okay. Layout thrashing. So the heavy stuff. Did it... Okay, good. It actually gave me some code. Okay, awesome. Alright, so let's just look at what... So layout thrashing happens when you ask the browser, where is the element? So I'm thinking, I meaning the extension, or whoever's running the JavaScript, ask the browser. So Chrome, I'm guessing, is it? No, there's no Chrome here. So how am I asking the browser? Where is this element? Okay, so I'm checking like location of element, and then immediately telling it, move this element in a loop. Okay, the browser has to stop and recalculate the whole page layout every single time. Moves 1 pixel every microsecond, it will lag. Set interval here, and then a lambda expression. Okay, up to here. Set interval, so we do this lambda expression every 1, and I guess that this parameter is set as milliseconds. So every millisecond we do this. We have a function with no arguments, and we come in here and we declare a variable, say top is equal to my character. Okay, so same thing, and then offset top. Is this defined, or is it... Well, it would have to be defined because we're not defining it right here. So we're reading the top of my character, okay? And then I say, I change it, and I say, okay, my character, the style, the top, the new top is what it used to be and then just adding 1 pixel. Okay, so apparently this is bad. We don't want to do this because we are checking right here, we're reading, and then we are updating it right there. Okay, so the good way to do it is request animation frame. This waits for the browser's natural heartbeat, usually 60 times per second, okay, to make changes, okay? So function move, okay, it's right here, request animation frame. Okay, so this request animation frame seems like it is just a standard function provided by someone, probably Chrome, right? And you pass in a function, okay? You pass in a function, and the actor, which I'm guessing is Chrome in this situation, invokes the function every time it wants to do its normal updation. Okay, so let me write that down and see if I am getting things correct. So for this, is a standard method provided by who, okay, which I am able to so like a callback function or what? Register a function with, and then after I have registered a function, it will perform it every time the browser naturally wants to update. Okay, so what does that imply to me? So this implies that the Chrome executable on the user's RAM will be running, and there is an interrupt that occurs every 60, I think it said, 60 seconds? Or once every 60 seconds? I can't remember. Okay. That occurs 60 times per second. In this interrupt, the Chrome executable will invoke, will update, refresh, and redraw the items on the screen. It will also invoke the methods, functions registered to them in the request anim. Nope. I thought I had it on my clipboard. In the function. Is it correct? So anyways, the correct way of doing it is having a function and say styles.transform, which is different than this one. It's just saying top. And then translate, we pass in this like string, translate, and then we pass in a parameter of x and y. So I say probably go up this many pixels and go to the right that many pixels, something like that. Okay. Number 14, it's not all or nothing. You can use optional permissions in your manifest. You list optional permissions inside your extension setting or a pop-up. You can have a toggle. Allow my character to sit on buttons when the user clicks it. You call, and then we can call Chrome permissions request. Okay, if they say yes, the feature turns on. If they say no, the character stays in the corner. Okay, that's pretty cool. So let's press go on here. Let's read what it says, and let's take a sip of coffee while we're at it, though. Okay. So, sprite animation code. If you have a sprite sheet that is 500 pixels wide, okay, does it, I said, can you show me the code? And do you see the code? I don't. Do I see any code? I don't see any code. It might be because I asked too many questions. Anyways, let me first try refreshing it, because sometimes I noticed that see, I told you. I noticed that sometimes it doesn't even load code. I don't know why, but I've noticed that for specifically Gemini and on my Linux device. Don't know why it doesn't do that. So if you have a sprite sheet that is 500 pixels wide, sprite sheet, okay, with 5 frames, so each one is 100 pixels. You don't want the image to slide like a movie. You want it to snap to each frame. Okay. So dot character, the container is the size of 1 frame. So this is CSS, and we say character is 100, has a width of 100, height of 100, and then background image. So we're creating a block and then saying that fill that block with this image, okay? Steps 5 makes it jump in 5 equal increments. So animation, okay, and then play animation, 1 second, steps 5. So 5 equal increments, and we do that infinitely. So what is this code here? Is this a function? What? What is this code? Is it a function? How do we invoke it? And So I guess the question I'm trying to understand right now is like, all right, so I'll have this thing which is in my CSS file, and I have this random line right here which just runs the play animation keyframes. What are we doing with an @ sign and keyframes? Okay, but we do that every, so 1 second, 5 steps, infinite. So what about if I want my JavaScript to invoke certain like actions, right? To invoke certain actions based on events. So the JS needs to trigger it, right? Okay, so I'm gonna come here, play animation. We have this thing called keyframes, okay? Play animation here. So from and to, okay, so from this pixel to this pixel, so it's moving, moves the background behind the window, okay? Alright. So this thing is not AI, but it's the best free web tool for pixel art. Leonardo AI, these have game assets models. You can prompt 2D pixel sprite, white background, okay. Stable diffusion. If you have a good GPU, you can run SD with a sprite sheet. Okay, so alright, so there are a couple. We can use Stable Diffusion or Leonardo, but we're probably going to use the other one, which is just we're just going to find someone else's stuff. Alright, so injection and the extension folder. So the folder, since you have a Linux background, think of the extension as a squash file system, okay? Or a specific directory in the opt folder. Okay, so when I install the extension, okay, Chrome downloads my zip and extracts it into a local directory on the user's SSD. Now you're speaking my language. Okay, thank you. Here we go. Okay, that makes sense. So now we have in our config Google Chrome, okay, here we go. So default extensions and then my extension. Here we go. This, and we put the entire like zip file. Awesome. Injection. The page code. The code is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That is the website, like Wikipedia sent to the browser. Okay, so that comes down here, okay? When Chrome finishes loading, when Chrome, the executable, finishes loading Wikipedia's HTML, it looks at my manifest and says, okay, I need to put content.json here. Okay, yeah. The result, the Chrome's engine, V8, that's what, Node.js, right? Literally appends my script into the execution environment of that tab. It's like a man-in-the-middle attack, but legal and controlled. Okay. Okay, so there's... Okay, I see. The man-in-the-middle attack appends my script into the execution environment of the tab. So the Chrome engine is what's running. So I'm just gonna see, make sure that my understanding is correct. So the Chrome engine, this like V8 is the executable, which is running the Chrome browser. Okay. It is the thing which will orchestrate the actions of the JavaScript? I don't know. I'm not sure how that all of this works, because it seems that the V8 is the thing that is invoking, right? Because it seems like that is the like browser thing. It's calling it an engine, but I think of it as an executable. And it should be the one who invokes methods, right, that will invoke the different JS. How does this occur? Okay, so each tab has a separate process. Here we go. We're speaking a familiar language again. Finally, has a specific process inside of my operating system. So we can do the top or htop, and they all have their own memory allocation. So to save resources, you can use the page visibility API. So I can go to document and then add event listener. Okay, so I'm listening for an event. Whenever the visibility changes, I'm going to be running this Lambda function. Okay, and I'm going to say if it's hidden, we stop the character logic. Otherwise, we start the character. Okay, awesome. I like that. I like that a lot. And so we can listen for visibility change. Okay. Condor means being open, honest, and straightforward. In this context, it means I'll tell you the unvarnished truth about how things work, like, rather than just giving... Whatever, I don't care. Never mind, that was a waste of a question. It is a... isolated worlds. It is not a Docker container or a server-side thing. The shared space. You both share the DOM. Okay. Isolated space, the JavaScript heap. Okay, if Facebook's code has a variable called user status logged in, your content.js cannot see it. It prevents malicious extensions from stealing private variables. It's a wall built to the browser's engine that separates the memory namespaces. Okay. Service worker is a script that runs in the background independent of any tab. So I guess I am a little confused about how the entire internet browser if I just say works, that's not what I'm meaning. Executable gets processed. So on my Linux device, I will have a executable in my bin file, right? Which is Google Chrome. When I click on the icon, it will send a command invoking that executable. It, meaning the OS, the OS will, okay, the executable will come alive and has its own, or come alive as its own process. Process on the OS. Okay. Now it's going to open up new threads. Okay, so now does it open up new threads for each tab, and then each tab is a what? Each tab thread is running what? Is it running my JS, or is it running something else which invokes my content.js? So with all of these concepts, right, like Chrome, I'm trying to come at it from the bottom up, not the top down, right? Like, who is Chrome? Where is it in kind of like the operating system process kind of thing? All right. Runtime, on message, add listener, and then we can do request, sender, response here. Okay, so how is JS invoked? JS is event driven, okay? It sits in the RAM doing nothing until something pokes it. So the browser poke, okay, here we go. When the HTML finishes parsing, it triggers DOM content loaded event. The user poke, when the user clicks a button, we have the onClick event, and then the time poke. So set interval. Triggers code based on a system clock. Okay, so 11, 12. All right, here we go. The tree. Yes, it's an in array tree. You can use recursion, depth first search, breadth first search to find elements. All right, so my character is an object. Specifically, it is an HTML image object. It is not dynamic like Python. Okay, it's an interface defined by this web IDL, interface definition language. Create element is a method of the document object to build into the browser's C++ source code. You don't load the library, it's just there. Okay. So Chrome is a global object provided by the browser. Two extensions. It is the API bridge. Is the function to convert the relative path. Okay. Append to the body. Correct. If your HTML looks like this, body, header, main here, and then we do this, it's going to have this with source engine. Okay, or with the source image. Okay, request animation. Your understanding is nearly perfect. Who provides it? Browser window object. Mechanism. It's not exactly an interrupt in the low-level sense, but a callback. Okay. Alright. So I'm going to press go right here, but then also I want to start, like, actually thinking about how we're going to start vibe coding things. So now, if I want to start vibe coding with my Copilot in VS Code, I'm just going to say I have everything in my ID set up. How should I start setting up my project so that my AI assistant, or whatever, I'll get it, will be able to build what I am desiring. So I'm kind of thinking, should I go and actually do the like build a little bit of a base? Because I notice whenever I just ask AI, oh, go do this, it's like, no. It doesn't, or it does something that you're not actually like trying to get it to do. So what I'm thinking is, yeah, let's do this, and then maybe we go and create some files ourselves, and then see if we can go and set things up properly. And while that's thinking, I'm gonna come here and take another sip. High level context. Alright, so the context first. AI assistants perform best when they can see your intent in writing before they look at your code. So before you write a single line of JavaScript, create these two files in the root directory. So we have prompt.md, okay, the source of truth. Write out exactly what the character should do, how it should move, and what the vibe is, okay. To-do checklist. Checklist of features. As the AI completes them, you or the AI checks them off. This prevents AI from getting lost in a long conversation. Okay, so the init command. The first thing you should do in the chat panel is type init. This command initializes your existing folder structure and creates GitHub Copilot instructions file. This is where you can hard code your preferences so you don't have to repeat them. Example entry. Always use manifest. Okay, interesting. So what I might want to do is should we start with this, or should we just like type it out and see if we can get something? I guess the first one is let's see, where is terminal? Here we go. New terminal and get rid of you. Alright, so get init. So initialize a repo inside of Chrome Companion. Yeah, that's what we want. And why are you unhappy right now? Just make sure that we... Is it... Okay, whatever. Okay, so now we have this, and here's, okay, so now we can come to here, and we do this, okay, init, that is not a default one I'm seeing. I don't know if this is going to work. Let me check my tokens and make sure that we, okay, so it is at 30. Maybe I have not, it keeps asking me to update things, so I don't know if maybe that's why we didn't see it, but we'll see what that's all about. Activating MCP, Model Context Protocol server, okay. Alright, so, yeah, don't know exactly what state everything is in, but we'll see if we get kind of, what I'm expecting is getting a hidden file here called GitHub Copilot Instructions Markdown, right? And that will be able to, what does it do? Initialize your existing folder structure and creates this markdown file, and I can hard code my preferences so I don't need to repeat them. Okay. Alright, so it decided that it was going to update everything. Okay. Great news, your workspace is ready. I can see the project root at Chrome Companion. Next step is tell me what you want to build. Okay. I don't see any hidden files though. Let me ls -la. So I see my git files, but that's it. Okay. So now what I want to do is, I guess, create these two markdown files where we're going to have promptmd and to-do-md. Okay. So I'm going to say prompt.md. Make sure that my it is still working. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so I have this promptmd. Maybe I should also do this inside of like a space. Let me actually go like this. So I'll say maybe space like step 1. So this will be folder step 1 for like initial creation, maybe. Yeah, let me rename it. And step 1 initial creation, right? Alright, so now I'm gonna put this inside of there and move it. And then inside of this, I'm also going to create another one, which is this to-do.md, okay? So now, what do we want? So we're gonna have prompt. This is your source of truth. Write out exactly what the character should do, how it should move, and what the vibe is. Okay. A checklist of features. As the AI completes them, we'll check everything off. Okay. So now don't just say add a waving animation. The AI might look at the wrong file. Use the hashtag to point the AI's eyes exactly where you need it to be. So look at, and then say content.js and styles.js, okay, so with the hashtag, and add a waving animation. Okay. So based on the plan in promptmd, scaffold the initial directory structure, okay? If you're using GitHub Copilot, okay, yeah. Standard mode, suggest code for you to copy and paste. Agent mode, oh, it's talking about that horrible feature where it's this one, hold on. This like inline suggestion, this is horrible. I hate this so much. It's always getting in your way. So tell the agent I want to build a Chrome extension screen buddy. Create the file structure, manifest, and a basic script to show a placeholder image on every page. Run the build command if necessary. Okay. So that's kind of an example of what would go in the what to do, right? Prompt is how it should move, okay? All right, so the vibe iteration loop. The secret to vibe coding isn't about getting it right the first time, it's the feedback loop. So step 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 1 is create a character that follows the mouse. So we're describing. So create a character that follows the mouse. Be descriptive about the feeling, not the code. Okay. Review. Watch the character move in the browser. Okay. Refine. Make the movement lazy or smooth. The AI will likely suggest a linear interpolation function. Okay. Update your promptmd with the new logic. Keeps the AI's memory fresh for the next session. So as my project grows, the AI might start making hallucinations because it has too much information to process. Clean the chat every time you finish a major feature, like adding the sprite logic sheet. Start a new chat. And that's what I was kind of thinking about with these like steps is having implementation steps. So the first one is going to be like the initial creation, right? So now I might actually just say like, yeah, I want example of prompt and to do. So can you give me a full prompt.md and a full to-do.md that I can use to get the initial steps of this project created. Okay, and what I'm thinking is like this, as the name is, like initial creation is literally just like trying to get something to work, and then we can do step 2 might be change the character or do whatever, right? So okay, let's do that, and then yeah, we'll have to come back and look at these things. Like, just remember to use the hashtags. And then remember that we can do these slashes, which does things in the, or like does commands to the agent. Okay. Alright, so project Screen Buddy Chrome extension. I want to create a Screen Buddy Chrome extension, Manifest 3. The goal is to have a small animated 2D character that lives on the user's browser screen, moves around autonomously, and reacts to user interactions. Okay, fine. Technical constraints, so we're using the manifest, and languages is going to be in JavaScript, so no frameworks like React or Vue for now. We can do that in in other steps. So use web accessible resources. Oh, here's architecture. So use a content script to inject the character into web pages. Use this to load sprite assets. Use this for all movement logic to ensure high performance. And speaking of performance, the character must stop all logic animation when the tab is not active. Okay. Page visibility, we already saw that, right? And now we kind of understand what's going on, and now we understand this prompt. But it's also kind of a question of, okay, well, if we were actually doing vibe coding, we wouldn't, like, the point is to not know this stuff, right? So there's kind of that question of, like, how much do you actually want to go and investigate versus how much do you want to just get done very quickly? And these two things are kind of at odds with each other. Styling. All styles should be encapsulated in a styles.css file to avoid clashing with the host website's CSS. Okay. Character behavior is the vibe, so idle. The character stands still or has a subtle breathing animation. Movement. The character occasionally decides to walk to a random coordinate with the window within the window's like height or just like box limit. Okay. Interaction. If the user clicks the character, it should play a wave or surprised animation. Like, I don't know if it's going to be able to do this in one shot. I was thinking about just having anything appear on my browser. Plus, we don't even have any of the assets or anything, right? So I don't know how this is gonna work. Physics is movement should feel lazy and smooth. Okay. Asset detail. We will start with a placeholder sprite sheet. Okay, cool. Assume the sprite sheet is named this, but we don't have this image, right? Should I just go and download something? I think that's probably what I'll do. Okay, so I'll go download this, right? And so I'll copy this, put this into the prompt MD. So we're gonna paste into there, okay. Now let's read this, and then we will go and try to get all of the things which we need. Okay, so implementation roadmap. So this is going to be within my to-do list. Just paste that into there. Okay. So phase number 1 is scaffolding. So the basics. Create a manifest JSON with permissions. Okay. Define content scripts, and here in the manifest, create a dummy. Okay, so it creates its own, so I don't need to. See, good thing I didn't go off and just randomly get a sprite. So it's going to create its own, or a colorful div placeholder. Verify the animation loads here. Okay. Phase 2 is injection. So write content .js to create an image, right? To create an image here, or div element, okay? Inject the element into document.body, apply basics CSS and styles, fix positioning, high Z index. Phase 3 is the brain. Implement a request animation frame loop. Add random walk logic. Character picks a spot and moves it there. Implement visibility change. Listener to add. Implement this listener to pause code or interactive tabs. Add smooth lerp movements. Lazy interpolation movements to prevent jitter. Phase number 4 is animation and interaction. So set up CSS steps animation for the sprite sheet. So that's the movement, okay? Add a click listener to trigger a special animation state. Okay, add a right click. Ensure that the character doesn't walk off the screen. Okay. For battery usage, reduce calculation frequency. Alright. So the big bang command, creating everything. Open your AI chat and say, we use that hashtag, read promptmd and todomd based on the phase 1 and 2, generate the folder structure and the initial code for the manifest and content script, okay? The iteration, once the files are created, say I've loaded the extension and I see the placeholder. Now let's tackle the movement in phase 3, okay? Make sure to use visibility API we discuss in the prompt, okay? The checkoff. After each success, tell the AI that works, update to do. To show that phase 3 is complete. Okay, so no, we want AI to do this. Alright, so the first thing is get status, right? And we created this, so get add everything in here, and that should add, yep, okay, cool. So get, I'm actually going to move this way a little bit, and then that way we have some more working room. There we go. We can breathe a little bit better. Get commit, and then I'm going to say added initial files for agentic creation of our project. Okay, there we go. And I don't even have a remote repo yet, so I can't really push it to anywhere, but now I should be able to do something very similar to this, right? So we do read and then hashtag yes promptmd and this to do md based on, so we're going to do phase 1 and 2. Phase 1 and 2. Both of these. We're going to create the JSON. Okay. And a dummy sprite. Yep, okay. And then create this content.json. Okay. Based on phase 1 and 2, generate the folder structure and initial code for the manifest and content script. Okay, go. While it's doing its thinking, we shall, let's see what we're at right now. We were at 30, right? So we're at 32 right now. Oh, I should have made sure that it knew not to do it in step 1. I want it to do it in the... I should have been more specific about where. Okay, whatever. I'll also need to figure out, like, how do I even run this, right? I have no idea how I can even run it, so we'll have to figure out all of this. All right. So creating a manifest. Oh, I don't like that. It's doing it in here, isn't it? No, no, no. We shouldn't. No. Okay, we're gonna have to just move all of these things out. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're going to press keep, right? But then we're just gonna move this out. Move. Move. Okay. Move. There we go. Okay. So. Okay, good. All right, so we have all 3 of these, and let's see what it says. So let's see. I'm just gonna go get add commit -m and say Copilot's first attempt at creating the initial code for the manifest and content script. Okay. Okay. So now we have this content here. And okay, it's a lot shorter than I was expecting. Create element is div, ID is here, buddy, class name, okay. And then we append it, okay. Now the other thing is we're gonna have this here, and it's it's very similar, right? We have this content scripts here matches this, right? This, and then we have resources, which is this image. So, and I haven't created any image yet. And then we have CSS styles. Okay, so we have this thing called buddy, and it's just, maybe this is where it is, but there's no PNG. This is, okay. So I guess I'm a little bit confused about how we're actually gonna, okay. Is now ready, loading in here. Just load the step 1 creation folder as an unpacked extension. The buddy will appear as a red circular div in, okay. As an unpacked extension. All right. So I want to know, how do I do this, right? So it looks like it worked. I now want to know how to follow those steps to actually see it. All right. Let it do its thinking. So, since you're on Ubuntu, based on your... Yeah, I am. Process to sideload. Wait, hold on. Here's the process, step-by-step. Okay, here's the step-by-step process to sideload your development folder into Chrome. Okay, so I go to Chrome, and in the address bar, I type this. I hit enter. Okay. In the top right corner, find the toggle for developer mode and switch it on. This reveals 3 new buttons. The top left. Okay. Load your unpacked extension. This means click the button that says load unpacked, which is probably going to be one of these buttons. A file selection dialog will open. Navigate to desktop, personal projects, Chrome, and then press it, okay? So then the one the one containing my manifest.json, which would be right here, and click open. Okay. Alright, so I am going to pause this for a second. I'm going to pause recording because I'm going to open up new tabs and everything, and I don't want my information doxed. So I'm going to pause this, open up new tabs, and then try that out, and then we'll see if it works. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so here we go. I was following these instructions, so I just opened up a new tab right there, and I went to this, I just copy and pasted this into the URL, right? And then we were able to come here and do this load let me just come here. So I came here, there was this developer mode, it was on the left hand side. I just clicked this button, right? And then it moved over here, and now we have the load unpack, pack extensions, and update. So I just pressed the load unpacked, right? And then I navigated over to my system's like folder, and I just selected this folder, the Chrome companion folder right there. Okay, and then that's all I did, right? So I just did that, and then all of a sudden I saw this. There it is, Screen Buddy. It appeared, and now I just opened up another tab, just a random tab, right? I just said, okay, which one? I guess I'm going to go to Google Gemini again, right? So I just opened up Gemini, and look at that. We have a red dot. So we were successful, and it actually works. That is pretty cool. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is I am now going to be going in and trying to say, okay, cool. Now that we got this working, right, we have a Chrome extension. What we're going to be doing is now we're going to be updating it. So we're going to be actually adding a image. We're going to be adding kind of like animation, and we're going to be going through step by step by step by step. So that is going to be in the next videos. So if that is interesting, subscribe to this channel and join me along on this journey. I would love to have you along. And yeah, so thank you for watching. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and I will see you guys in the next video. Let's go.